Hello and welcome to Colorado Mesa Esports. Today we are going to be watching Montevallo Overwatch versus Colorado Mesa. We are watching the Maroon team from CMU. This will be another one of the NACE weeks. If you don't know how NACE works, it is best of 5, first to 3. And the way how recaps work is we are just going to be capturing all the big moments of team fights, such as here when we are on first point of Lijiang right as the point opens. And we do see Montevallo here managing to capture the point first, getting the early lead on Lijiang. However, CMU does get first blood on the Kiriko from Montevallo. Badger on Pharah with the pocket mercy. We do see the breaking the Symmetra turrets. Obviously, Symmetra is a very common pick on Lijiang. We do see Absent managing to take down the Symmetra, Crane taking down the Tracer. Badger did go down very low there, but luckily we do have Prune there to back him up and help heal when he got in those sketchy situations. Both supports go down to Winter Storm, and it does look like the tank from Montevallo is going to jump off the map, hopefully trying to reset and catch wave with the rest of his team. A great first point from CMU does manage to capture it. The next fight takes over here when there's about 20% on the clock versus 25 from them. And we do see the Cassidy going down here, dying to Crane again. A very nice job from Crane on Baptiste. We see Absent get a kill on the Lucio, Winterstorm getting a kill on the Zarya, and Absent getting another kill on the other support, the Kiriko, getting a nice team kill for Colorado Mesa. The next big fight highlighted here is when CMU is at around 40% overall charge. We see Cassidy again going down very early here. However, the Genji does manage to get the trade onto Crane. However, Prune gets the revive on Crane. Absent popping ult, managing to kill Zarya and Lucio. And we see Winter also followed up there, managing to get the Kiriko. The next big fight here that we're opening up on is when CMU is around 75%. We do see the grab coming out from Zarya, managing to pick off Winter here. However, Badger does get a trade, managing to take down Kiriko. We also see Badger popping ult there, taking out the Cassidy. We see Absent fighting the front line while they're doing that in the back. Lucio does pop beat, however, a lot of his team is already dead and he does go down soon after here. And that will be the first point of the Kiriko coming out. That will be the first point of Lijiang Tower going to Colorado Mesa. And that will bring us to the next round of Lijiang. We see them opening up in the fight here. We see a Reinhardt versus a Ramattra, which I think is a very interesting play. Obviously, Ramattra is a pretty big Rein counter. Lamp coming out here early from the side of Montevallo. It doesn't seem to get much value though, as CMU manages to keep pushing them back. However, we do see the rotate from Montevallo trying to push them through main instead of going through the high ground. However, Absent is there to basically cut that rotate off. We see the Reinhardt getting very low there. The Lucio did go down earlier in that fight. The Baptiste also going down. That will be both of the supports from Montevallo gone. CMU did manage to capture the point after that, bringing it currently to about 15-0 on the overall charge on point. We do see the Lucio managed to get the Torbjorn turret down, so that will be a part of their strength holding that choke on. However, it does not seem to do too much as the Reinhardt does go down here. The lamp coming out a little bit late, unfortunately. Cassidy following soon after on the Reinhardt, Lucio, and then Baptiste, and that will be a 5-player kill streak for Badger. The next fight here we see coming up is the we see window popping from Crane on the Baptiste, about 50% for CMU. However, Crane does go down very early here. It doesn't seem to affect the CMU too much though, as they manage to still hold back Montevallo and getting a lot of good value with both ults and just util in general there. And that'll bring us to the next fight of when CMU is about to hit 80%. We see the big push from Montevallo. However, Winter does manage to get a very nice ult, killing the Baptiste in the process. However, that Echo is going to use Copy. The Reaper does manage to take Absent down, and that will leave CMU at a disadvantage trying to hold this choke without tank. We see Crane fall soon after, and it will be a very tough spot for CMU to manage to come back from here. We see Badger going down, and that will allow Montevallo to capture, I believe, right as CMU hits overtime. There's just no one on CMU alive to try to touch that, try to retake, and unfortunately that will be allowing Montevallo to capture the point, bringing it to around 99-21 right now. However, the Cassidy we do see going down very early here, the Lucio following soon after. I believe there was a beat, an ult at least from Colorado Mesa, I'm not quite sure which one. We see the it was beat by Prune, I thought so. We see the Kiriko go down, the Echo go down, and that will be, there will be the Doomfist as well. This will basically just be a last desperate touch by a lot of Montevallo to try to see if they can get on point, try to get that overtime back up. We saw it from Lucio, we saw the attempt from the Sojourn, unfortunately they do not manage to land it, and that will be bringing CMU to the first win of the game so far, bringing it to 1-0 currently. We'll see in a second who is going to get player of the game. Will be Absent on Ramattra. Very nice job overall from both teams. Probably one of those good ult. Yeah, there we go. Very strong ult here, getting a lot of Montevallo down very quickly. Good job from CMU in general. Obviously, they held very well on all the points. Montevallo also did a very good job of pushing. So we're going to start here with the next point on King's Row. We see Badger here getting a headshot on the Ana right at the start here. Great job from him, as well as another very good 3K from Badger, killing the Echo and the Lucio all in pretty much subsequent order. We just see expecting the absent on the Winston, and that will be CMU capturing first point there. We are waiting just for the next fight basically, and they did not manage to fully capture first before both Prune and Badger, who were sitting on point capturing, went down. However, Crane and Winter did manage to somewhat clean up getting that Genji and the Lucio. It will just be a last desperate touch from Montevallo to try to touch the point. Ana goes down here. Winter does go down to the Ramatra, however the Ramatra is 1 HP, does go down to Absent jumping on a high ground to try to push them off, and that will allow Crane to finish capturing the map. And this will bring us to the next big fight, obviously. CMU's about halfway through with pushing the payload. We see an early pick here from Absent on that Ashe, however Winter does go down to the Kiriko, but CMU does manage to get the trades out, getting both supports and as Winter dies, and that will allow CMU to continue to push up. Badger does go down here, dying to the enemy Ashe, a very unfortunate headshot from him, but that will allow CMU to at least get very close to capturing that checkpoint. However, they do manage to touch, getting Ramatra and I believe one of the DPSs on point. However, we see the Kitsune coming out from Crane. We see the Annihilation, I believe was the name, coming out from Ramatra. And that was a very scrappy fight from both teams. We are still seeing the attempt to try to keep control of the point. We see Primal Rage coming out from Absent here, managing to kill that Kiriko and the Ashe pretty close together, pushing that Ramatra off point to allow CMU to finish capturing, at least confirming that checkpoint. Great job from CMU, allowing them to give them that space. Absent does go down here though, as they kill the Lucio, and that will bring us to the next fight on King's third point. We see Badger lining up here for some headshots, not quite being able to get much value just as of yet. I do believe beat went out from Montevallo, which is another reason why he can't get quite enough damage off. But we are still seeing the fight right now. I think it's just trying to get that advantage to be able to push in. We see Badger lining up shots for the supports back there. We do see Crane going down, dying to that Ramatra. Prune and Badger both dying to the Genji blade soon after. And we see, Badger getting caught in that Ramatra circle, trying to back out of it. CMU currently has around about 3-ish minutes on the clock to finish pushing all the way to the final point. That Ramatra is extremely low. We'll see if CMU manages to follow up that damage there, or if he will just be able to live. We do see the Nano going out on Absent here. Winter getting a kill, Absent getting a kill on the Genji. We do see Prune going down, dying to Bob. However, Bob and Annihilation was used, and that will be another team fight win for at least Montevallo for now. However, we see Aslan here in the back lines causing some chaos, managing to get that Lucio out. I believe booping the Ramatra off the map. We see Kiriko running out. Obviously Primal Rage is just such a good ult in terms of being able to zone and just take a lot of that damage, so there would be a big health pool. And that's exactly what CMU did, just pushing back, making it so Montevallo basically can't leave their spawn as the rest of the team just pushes back on point. We see the Doomfist while trying to get touch, unfortunately does not manage to work out. We just see the Genji on point managing to contest. Does go down to Winter. We see the Kitsune coming out from Crane, probably just to try to give extra damage right as we're right at the end here. And that will allow CMU to capture, bringing it to 1-0 currently. Obviously though, Montevallo has not pushed yet, so we will see how they do it when that starts. Yeah, there's the current score 3 with around 1 minute 50 seconds left. And we are going to take a quick moment to appreciate Monkey Dance Break, obviously the best dance in the game. We're going to wait for the next fight. Here we go. Starting out now, we see Absent obviously taking that frontline damage. Does get jumped by a Winston Mirror. We get to see that being played from Montevallo, but obviously it's worked quite well as Absent having to back out with about 50 HP left. And we also see Badger dying to the enemy Widow. Great headshot from her, obviously. Very hard to get Widow chase, but Winter does manage to kill her off in the process. Right now we just see Absent kind of waiting, I believe, for that bubble to come up. We see on the Prune POV trying to help out Winter, especially as he was quite low there. Absent coming in to help Prune as he was getting jumped by the Genji. Absent getting also a very nice 2K on both the Genji and the Kiriko. And that will be seeing at least holding first point. We do see that Montevallo did manage to capture one tick on the point, possibly two here if no one touches. Yeah, we'll get second tick there, possibly even getting into payload here depending on whether or not Absent touches. Absent does go for the touch, does manage to get it right as they're about to hit 99. And that will hold. Oh! We see Winter here getting off that Widow. Crane getting that. Oh! Team kill basically. Everyone except the tank, I think, and there's a little cute spray. I don't think it's very cute, but you see Badger here on the Widow POV. Ooh, Monkey will get very low there, but does pop Primal in order to live. And we see Widow 76 trying to just, get rid of that monkey off of her. We see the B coming out from Montevallo. Crane does go down here, unfortunately, having the front line. Winter will be Badger going down soon after, both dying to the monkey. Prune follows as well, dying to that Genji, and that will allow Montevallo to capture first point and bring it to the payload section of the map. We do see Winter in the back line as that Kiriko uses Kitsune, probably to try to push up and hold space. Obviously, the alleyways is a very hard push to choke here for a lot of teams, and if they can just avoid having to fight there as a whole, is better for the team overall. We do see the Winston 1v1 going on currently. It does look like Absent's in a lot better of a space, so the other Montevallo is going to back out. And we see the next fight coming up here. Montevallo has about 2 minutes 40 seconds left on the clock. Still has to get it through that second choke alleyway. We see Crane fighting. Oh, who it was there? We see Genji and Lucio go down. I think both Genji that he was fighting. We see Badger getting the pick on the enemy Widow. And that will bring us to the next fight with 2 minutes on the clock. Crane unfortunately getting jumped by that Winston. Does not manage to get the kill though. A very nice anti by Prune, managing to save both Crane's life and get that Winston out in the process. And we'll be up to, I believe, Absent is, Absent on point, very low, we'll see if maybe Valley gets popped here to try to keep that tank alive, or if they're just going to trust the on to heal, and that is what they will do, trusting on to heal. We do see Valley pop as the Winston dives to the back line. A very nice rally from Crane, however we do see him get stuck in the corner against a Primal. A very hard ult to deal with in general. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's very annoying. We see the next fight here coming out as Absent takes that Widow off high ground. We do see again the Winston here diving though, managing to take out that Genji, but having to get pushed all the way back to essentially spawn as Absent just stands in the way. And that will bring us to another next fight with Kitsune coming out from the side of Montevallo. Absent on the back line getting that Kiriko very low, managing to kill the Lucio in the process. However, both supports from CMU are down. So is the Widowmaker from CMU side. However, Absent manages to get the trade in terms of Widowmakers at least. Absent unfortunately getting very low there, does go down to the Genji, and I believe that will give Montevallo the time to capture. We do see the last bit to touch, and Crane does manage to touch right as Montevallo hits that checkpoint. Crane with a nano there from Prune, as well as Winston on point obviously, and that will hit overtime, but unfortunately Montevallo managed to capture after that, bringing us to a minute 50, basically 50 seconds on the timer right now, and Montevallo has to push at least halfway through the map. We see Badger getting dived by the Winston and spawn. A very tough position to be in. Absent does get the pick on Montevallo's backline, getting that Kiriko out as obviously the tank is trying to deal with CMU's backline. We see Crane get a very nice whip shot kill on the Winston. Absent popping ult there, managing to kill I believe the other support. And that will lead us to the next fight with 4 seconds left on the clock. It's just up to CMU to hold there and make sure they don't get that overtime touch that they want. Unfortunately, we see the Kiriko ult go out, trying to just get that extra speed to touch point. Unfortunately, it's not able to, and that will be second round of Kings Row going to Colorado Mesa, bringing it to 2-0 overall. We'll see who gets player of the game. It will be Absent on that Winston. An amazing job. Player of the game twice in a row for her. I believe possibly Primal Reach coming out here? I think that was what the situation was. Maybe not. Maybe I'm a liar. Very nice 3K though. A great job from Absent. And we will be bringing us to the next point of Servasa. We do see Badger starting out here on Sombra. And we see Absent on Jungle Queen. Again, not a tank we've seen for her play yet, at least in this match. But we'll see how it ends up working out. We do see Badger trying to get on point here. Obviously, we do have that Sombra rework that came out a while back with the change to Translocator. and the way how invisibility works, and we'll see how that ends up working out here. Obviously she's a lot different to play now, but Colorado Mesa right now not having a great lead, at least going into this fight. Prune dying here, Winter dying here. There goes Absent, there goes Badger, and that's kind of just that first fight done. We see Montevallo with about 30%-ish as leading into the next fight. We see Badger a very nice job of managing to basically negate that Queen Axe. That if he got brought to that backline, would have made the situation a lot harder for Colorado Mesa to fight back in. And then we see as Montevallo is hitting about 50% overall, various cappy fights are breaking out. But it just seems like in the end CMU gets the lead, managing to take out both supports, the tank, the DPS, and that leads us to the next point where Montevallo is around 64%, CMU is about hit 40. We see Badger going down very early here, Prune and Winter following soon after. Is basically just Absent, and well, was Crane, the Crane went down, and that will just be Absent on point. Does unfortunately go down here, and that brings us to the last touch for this first point of Servasa. Currently at 90%, we see the big EMP coming out from Badger along with a Dragon Blade coming from Winter. A great job of that DPS combo ults. Basically left Montevallo open to whatever Winter could do, and that clearly was enough, allowing CMU to bring the point to essentially overtime, bringing it to 99-99 overall. It will be a desperate touch from both teams to try to just hold here. We see the Kitsune coming out from CMU, as well as the Queen. Rampage, I believe, was the name of the ult. Badger managing to take out the Kiriko here. That will be a huge loss for Montevallo, losing that support, especially when you only really have a Lucio who cannot do damage healing. We see both DPS go down. Lucio goes down. Crane does die to the Queen, however, I don't think it'll be enough. The Queen does die soon after. Obviously, those supports are just such a huge help, having to have both there to try to deal that damage. Without them, or try to sustain that damage. Without them, it's just a very tough position to be put in. And we see the next point going here, a fight unlocking, or a fight breaking out as the fight unlocks. We see CMU does manage to get a 3k, however, there is a trade on the Kirikos, Crane going down, but CMU managing to kill Montevallo's Kiriko and Dragon Queen soon after, and that will allow CMU to capture, bringing it to around 50% as the next big fight breaks out. Queen does get hacked by Badger. A great job from him so far. Obviously, we don't see Sombra on him too often. It's clearly working out, but the Sombra Tracer does get a 2k pulse bomb. Again, not something you see too often. We do see, however, enemy Jungle Queen does go down, but Winter follows soon after, and it's basically just Absent on point to try to deal with all of these squishies. We see the Lucio go down, Kiriko possibly following after. Kiriko does go, but both DPS is just a lot of damage to take, and they do manage to take Absent down, allowing Montevallo to capture as CMU hits 90%. Very impressive job from Montevallo. They've done a great job of coming back in these fights. We do see the beat coming out from Prune. Prune managing to get a 2k on the enemy team supports, Absent getting a kill on the both DPS. And it's just that Dragon Queen left on point, Absent managing to finish off that fight. And that will let CMU recapture, bringing us to the, and they did hit 100 there, pretty much without contest. And that will bring us to the at least final point of if CMU manages to win. Servasa, I don't know if they do here, we'll see, obviously. Winter, we saw a lot of ults go out there, Queen Rampage, I believe from both sides possibly. We saw a beat come out, we saw just a lot of eco in general. But obviously CMU just had the upper hand there, managing to get that momentum, managing to get the team kill, very impressive. We saw Tracer right at the end trying to back out, I think, and it's just unfortunately a very hard position to be put in. We see the next fight coming out here, CMU basically just trying to deny Montevallo from even touching point. We see both Kitsunes from either team coming out. That's going to be obviously a lot of extra damage, a lot of extra momentum, and it seems to work in the favor of Montevallo, managing to kill Winter and Crane her in the process as Absent's dealing with the supports in the backline. The Junker Queen managing to take out Prune, and that will be just Absent and I believe Badger on point left, and they do manage to take Absent down, recapturing the point as is currently 69-35. We do see, I believe EMP from Badger, another great one from him. We've seen so many, and that will let CMU get a very quick 4k where I couldn't even catch up to what was happening. And allow CMU to recapture, bringing it to 95 to 48 right now. It will be up to Montevallo to try to get that overtime contest, and they do manage to touch it. It will be, they either need to get all CMU off of this point, or just try to hold that timer up until they can't anymore. We see the Rampage coming out from Absent. Unfortunately, that will be enough to finish off the game here. I believe, at least, there is the Tracer trying to touch point. Gives up. A very nice, obviously, we've seen an amazing gameplay from Aston this entire time. Very lovely job from her. That will be a victory for CMU, bringing it to 3-0 overall, giving CMU the win in the NACE bracket as well. And we will see who the player of the game is. If you're interested in any more content, and absent 3-4-3 so far. If you're interested in any more content from CMU, we stream on Twitch every Tuesday for Overwatch, Wednesday for Valorant, and Thursday for Smash. Those times are subject to change. Obviously we have a lot more content on our YouTube, both thoughts and recaps. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.